Welcome back to XRP Update, everyone. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today we need to dive into something big, because while the rest of the crypto market is making a ton of noise and everyone is obsessing over short-term price action, something massive is happening beneath the surface. When the market gets this emotional, the best thing you can do is just mute the panic, ignore the fear, and focus on how the actual financial system is shifting. Think about it. We just saw hundreds of millions of dollars wiped out through liquidations across the market in a matter of hours. Yet, despite that, the fundamental story for XRP hasn't changed at all. If anything, it's getting stronger. Volatility gets the headlines, but infrastructure, partnerships, and regulatory progress are what actually win the long game. The big news that completely slipped under the radar for most retail investors today is that the Crypto Clarity Act was officially added to the Senate legislative calendar. That means it's finally eligible for full Senate consideration and a vote. For digital asset regulation in the United States, this is a massive milestone. But if you look at the market, the reaction was surprisingly quiet. Prices actually pulled back a bit instead of exploding higher, and I know a lot of people are scratching their heads wondering why. The answer is actually pretty simple. Most market participants are still entirely focused on daily price candles and 15-minute charts. They are completely missing the long-term developments. True institutional adoption can't happen without regulatory clarity, and as this legislation moves closer to reality, its long-term impact on the market will be massive. While traders are watching short-term charts, lawmakers are drawing up the blueprint that will govern the future of digital assets. The market rarely prices these things in until long after they happen. As this legislation moves forward, the conversation among political leaders and influential figures has fundamentally changed. Momentum is clearly building, and many believe significant announcements could arrive sooner rather than later. What makes this interesting is that Wall Street isn't sitting on the sidelines anymore. The debate is no longer about whether blockchain will be used, but how it will be used and who is going to come out on top. This is exactly where XRP enters the discussion. Speculation and rumors will always surround this market, but our focus should remain on what is actually happening behind closed doors. The financial industry is actively preparing for a future that includes tokenized assets, instant blockchain settlement, and digital value transfer. These aren't just theories or what-if scenarios anymore. These are active discussions happening among some of the world's most powerful financial organizations. You might have seen a post making the rounds on social media today, suggesting that we're going to see one major, final shakeout before massive announcements drop involving XRP and global payments infrastructure. Whether that specific prediction hits or not, it definitely highlights something a lot of serious investors have been thinking about. The global payments industry is desperate for faster, cheaper, and more efficient ways to move money across borders. That search naturally leads back to technologies capable of solving those exact problems. It is no coincidence that Ripple is consistently involved in discussions with some of the largest banking giants in the world. These connections aren't happening in a vacuum. The future of finance is being written right now, and blockchain companies are finding themselves right at the center of it. While the general public remains completely unaware of these shifts, the infrastructure supporting digital assets keeps expanding. Over the years, we've seen a steady rise in partnerships, technology upgrades, and institutional engagement. None of this happened overnight. It represents years of quiet groundwork and planning. Many investors focus exclusively on price movements, but infrastructure always comes first. Before major adoption can occur, systems need to be built, stress-tested, integrated, and approved. What we're seeing today is the result of years of preparation finally solidifying. As more institutions become comfortable operating within digital asset markets, the foundation already being established is going to become incredibly valuable. The real question isn't whether blockchain will integrate into traditional finance. It's just a matter of how fast that integration accelerates from here. Another important development involves CME Group's expansion into around-the-clock crypto futures and options trading. This move is a clear sign that institutional demand for digital assets continues to grow. Markets that never sleep require heavy-duty infrastructure to support constant activity, and that's where Ripple Prime has entered the picture as a clearing and financing partner. This is a massive validation because it proves Ripple is actively participating within institutional-grade financial environments. The growth of professional trading infrastructure creates clear pathways for massive capital to enter digital asset markets. Institutional investors require sophisticated systems before committing substantial resources, and those systems are gradually being put into place. As access improves, participation from the largest players becomes inevitable. These developments might not generate immediate price spikes, but they are the essential building blocks for long-term market growth. On top of that, look at the data. XRP futures activity is seeing remarkable growth. Strong participation in these products highlights ongoing institutional interest, despite what the skeptics might say. The metrics show that serious, heavy-hitting players are paying very close attention to XRP's role within the digital asset ecosystem. It's also important to remember that XRP remains tied to Ripple's broader vision of solving payments, liquidity, and financial infrastructure. While opinions differ regarding future price performance, few can deny that XRP occupies a completely unique position in discussions surrounding global value transfer. Institutional engagement, trading activity, and infrastructure development are all measurable indicators that global organizations are actively evaluating XRP's potential. Meanwhile, Ripple continues to expand its stablecoin initiatives. The growth of RLUSD into new markets represents a major step toward broader ecosystem development. Stablecoins are becoming incredibly important within digital finance because they provide the necessary liquidity and settlement efficiency across multiple markets. Every new expansion creates more opportunities for blockchain-based financial services. What's fascinating is how all of this connects back to a much larger trend, bringing traditional financial activity onto blockchain networks. As enterprises seek faster settlement and improved operational efficiency, blockchain solutions become highly attractive. Ripple's efforts to expand stablecoin adoption show that the company is pursuing multiple avenues for growth rather than relying on a single product, which naturally strengthens the overall ecosystem surrounding XRP over time. We are also tracking massive capital commitments and plans related to XRP-focused treasury strategies. When substantial financial resources get involved, it sends a powerful signal to the market. Large investors conduct exhaustive research before making major commitments, and their participation reflects deep confidence. At the same time, analysts are discussing the possibility of trillions of dollars eventually moving onto blockchain networks through tokenization. If even a fraction of those projections materialize, the impact on high-quality digital assets will be staggering. The transition from traditional finance toward blockchain-enabled systems would represent one of the largest technological shifts in modern history. That possibility explains why so many institutions are actively positioning themselves today instead of waiting until adoption becomes obvious to everyone. Today is also a great reminder of XRP's track record. It has survived multiple market cycles, intense regulatory challenges, and massive industry transformations. That is no small feat in crypto. The debate over whether banks will actually use blockchain is over. They already are. Now, it's just a question of scale and determining which specific digital assets become integrated into those permanent systems. When you connect all the dots, the Senate progress, institutional integration, expanding infrastructure, stablecoin growth, and tokenization trends, it's easy to see why long-term holders aren't sweating this short-term volatility. None of this is a guarantee of tomorrow's price, but it does illustrate a rapidly evolving financial landscape. The story unfolding today is much larger than daily market fluctuations. It is about a total transformation of how value moves around the world. But hey, those are just my thoughts based on the current data. Always do your own research. What do you guys think about the Senate calendar update? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown. Thanks for watching XRP Update, and I'll see you in the next video.